Of course, be sure to subscribe so you... God damn it.
Do you want me to do it? Let me just wrap the whole...
No. I got it.
This is your last shot, and then it's me.
No, it's not. As always, if there's a topic you want us to talk about, make sure to... No, Liz, don't.
Are you going to cry? Are you okay?
I just need a minute.
Wait, do the absolute silence.
I just need absolute silence, please. I need absolute silence. I'm going to slip into character.
Slip into character.
Absolute silence, please. I need absolute silence.
I love it.
I need absolute silence while I fall into character. I need absolute silence while I fall into character.
Can you give me like a head start on
I need absolute silence. I need absolute silence.
Welcome back to Thrive After Dark. Last episode, we asked for some questions to have some content to talk about, and boy, did you guys deliver. We've got a few of them here today, and we are going to answer them live.
And as always, if you're watching here on YouTube and you want to be notified every time we post a new video, make sure to smash that subscribe button.
Smash it. All right, so first question. Both of you are highly successful, personally and professionally, by American standards. How do you curb ego in your marriage, both personally and professionally? Okay. How do you allow the other spouse to feel they are seen and heard without ego being prominent, that your business and marriage do not feel like a constant tug of war? Okay. Okay, so let's answer the first piece first.
Yes, multi-part question, so let's break this down. All right, how do you curb your ego in a marriage, both personally and professionally?
Okay, so let's be honest, hard to do.
Very hard.
Both of us are...
I'm better at it, though.
Insanely competitive. And I feel that is definitely where we struggled with ego in the beginning of our relationship.
Yes, we talked about that before. That was one of the biggest challenges that we faced in the early years of us working together.
Yeah, and then
almost took us down. Especially,
we've also talked about our traditional values. And so then you take that into the workforce where we switched up traditional societal norms where, you know, as a married couple, I am your boss in the workplace, and you are not the boss.
I am your equal in every way, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, okay. So how do we curb the ego?
Within the confines of a company, there has to be a hierarchy for everything to work efficiently and effectively.
Yes.
And quite frankly, it works the same at home too, but we kind of look to flip-flop those roles, or at least bring it back to a center by the time we get home, and that can be really challenging.
Yeah. Well, for us, there is a different dynamic personally for us than there is professionally. So professionally, you'll find with Justin and I, the way that we curbed our ego here was we did an enormous amount of coaching and mentoring around this specific subject of how do you work together as a romantic couple, where roles are reversed or changed, and not bringing any of the personal baggage, personal things, feelings, thoughts into the workplace. I feel like because of, I don't know if it was the way I was raised, quite frankly, I don't even really know where it came from. I've been trained in the sales arena since I can remember, since I was 21. And I mean, I went through strange training. Like when I was in different departments at different companies, I actually went through body language training. I went through how I walked into a room, how I wore my hair. It was etiquette. Yeah, it was etiquette around all of that. And part of that was like, you don't flirt in the workplace. You don't, there's no PDA in the workplace. Like it was ingrained in me. And so that has been some programming that I brought with us here. And it took us some time to work through that, because for you were like, so strange that you
Wanna
don't
slap
want
your
me
butt
to
right now.
touch your butt.
What's wrong?
Yeah, but when we're at home, like it's
Right.
like the mask comes off and I'm in a totally different existence. So I would suggest doing what we did. We hired a professional to walk us through how to differentiate
That's it.
the roles in which we both held in our professional arena. And then how to go about, because we're partners in the business, that mattered as well. That's another layer that we had to contend with. And so with that said, who had veto power? And
Right.
so it was really placing power with each one of us in the areas of our expertise, in the areas of our strength.
Well, and not everybody can do that, right? Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to hire a coach to coach them through that. So let's talk about what somebody could do if they don't have that ability or they just simply don't want to. You just have to talk about it.
DM me. Oh, yes.
You have to talk about
Okay.
it.
Yes, you could do
So
that.
the same way that this person submitted this question, those are questions they should be asking together as a couple. How do we do this? How do we find our way through it?
Through almost a strength finder piece within each other and
what
talk
are you
through that.
great at? What am I great
Yeah,
at?
what do you feel you're great at? Because what you feel you're great at, you might actually not be. And so just really knowing that, it takes some self-awareness. It takes some willingness to communicate through that.
But yes, starts with communication. They have to just simply talk about it. Get it out on the table. So to answer the question directly, have a conversation around it, get it out on the table, talk about what the parameters are in terms of what is good and what's not, what's going to work, what won't, who's good at what, who's not great at what, and find those silos in which you can exist in your relationship, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, I think there's this thought process for people where your ego can get in the way and it makes you think that you have to be good at everything and you'll die trying. And that's just madness, right?
Yeah, let's get out of the way that you're not supposed to be great at everything.
Yes, it's just not possible. You're not going to be great at everything. And if you spend a little more time understanding what you're great at and where your weaknesses are and which weaknesses are worth learning to be better at and what ones are worth leveraging, that conversation in itself is so empowering. So I would start there. Get clear on your personal, whoever asked this question, your personal strengths and weaknesses within the workplace and within your relationship as a person. Like, what do you bring to the table? Who are you? What are you good at? What are you not? And have your partner do the same thing. Have a meeting of the minds, walk through it together, see if you agree with one another, and start having absolute conversation around it.
Yeah. So the next question, or part of that question, how do you allow the other spouse to feel that they're seen and heard without ego being prominent, that your business and marriage do not feel like a constant tug of war? Again, it boils down to the communication and getting clarity. I think once they answer the first question for themselves, the other one will take care of itself.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes one party being willing to, drop the sword and come from a genuine place of curiosity when your partner might be in an egotistical moment or a more aggressive moment or whatever it is, the way that that person's ego comes out, and come from a place of curiosity to diffuse it. So like, hey, what is it that I'm doing or saying right now that might be offending you or having you feel like I'm attacking you?
Yep.
And just be quiet, listen. And then once you get that information, ask another question. So someone has to be willing to kind of wave the white flag and say, hey, we got to break the cycle of how we're communicating through this so that we can elevate that experience.
Yeah. And the person that's grabbing the torch and carrying it in whatever category it is, paying homage to the person that got them there, helped support them in that. I can't go out there and crush it in real estate sales without you knowing that you're in the background supporting me with the kids and the family or whatever it may be, something like that.
Yeah.
Making sure that the other person understands that although they're not taking an active role, that supporting role is just as important.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like in
critical.
It's like in sports. The assist counts just as much, if not more, than the goal, because the goal couldn't happen without the assist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk about that a lot. We have a life manager, and one of the things we've always said for that role is this is the most important employee role that we have. Without this piece, you and I can't function at the highest level. Just
Right.
because our timetables then shift and our attention shifts and our ability to do the things we enjoy, which move into, being in our strength zones shifts. So you have to be able to recognize all of those things. And it does require you step outside your ego. It's no different than, in our industry, you hear people say all the time, well, I could never give up paperwork. No one will do it as good as I do. I could never give up marketing. No one understands my personal brand.
That's ego,
It's
ego,
all ego.
Yep.
It's control, and it's really it just lacks education. That's all.
Yep.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2, read through the whole thing. As a happily married couple and working so close together each and every day at Thrive, how have you made it successful and sustainable? Yeah, I'm sure my spouse would agree. If we worked at the same company, well, I think she would eventually murder me. How do you make it work? Also, being together every day, far more than most married couples, what does personal time look like? Justin, what are some things that are just for you? Experience, hobby, activity? Same question for Jess. So let's break this one down.
Let's start at the top here.
Okay.
Well, I think we just talked about that. We've spent a great deal of time focusing on communication, focusing on our strengths individually, and then collectively. That would be the next piece, the advanced piece to doing the individual work. And it, without a doubt, that's foundational to how we've made this work.
Yeah.
What does personal time look like for you, Just?
What's funny is when we spend as much time as we do, here's the challenge that people would end up facing if they were in our role. And so let's diverge a little bit. Let's go off to the side for a second. There can be a dependency on that as well. And so one of the places that we've struggled that we haven't talked about at all yet anywhere is the challenge of taking that time back for our individual focuses and desires and likes.
Yeah.
Things that we enjoy doing. For you, things like yoga and mind work and, shopping, and then mind work and shopping. For me, doing things like fishing or going shooting, like even doing yard work. I love being outside and building things. And, and so that's been challenging to not feel this pull or guilt that I'm not in my normal position. And so it's always been challenging. But back to the question, for me, I love fishing. I love being outdoors. I love creating things and building things with my hands, whether I'm good at it or not. I love trying. I love learning new things. I love failing at it. I love finding my way through. All the time.
You can MacGyver just about anything.
Well, all the time you're like, I am just hiring somebody to do this.
You
like
get so mad.
Most recent thing is I'm power washing our deck.
Yes.
I'm like, no, how about this? Give me just a day to be able to clean it off. And if it's not to your liking, then go ahead and hire someone.
Okay, and here's the deal, just so we're all clear here, and I know people can relate to this. There are probably many men and women out there that have a honey-do list as long as their arm. And it doesn't mean you're not capable, which we have talked about. I know you're capable, and I know that's your ego going, fuck that, I can do it.
Yeah.
One, it won't cost money. I'm probably better at it, and I want to, and I get that. However, we only have so much time in 24 hours. And in one day's time, the amount of time you can allocate towards something like that with a long list of honeydew stuff, I just think some of those things, it's worthy of leveraging out.
But you need to understand that as a man, the voice in my head screaming at me that no other man's going to come into my fucking house and do these things to my house that I can do. So
No,
anyway.
I get it. But it is something that I think is important that if you look at where your time can go, and it's not outsourcing every task within the house.
The only thing that's allowed me to be at home with it is like, okay, if
This
I do pay
particular
somebody X amount of money to do whatever project it is, I can spend that time focused and dedicated on my family and my wife.
Sure. Or shooting or fishing or building something that you really want to be doing. Okay. So that's what Justin's hobbies look like. If we're being totally honest, as the life that we've chosen to build, there is not a ton of time that we have allocated towards individual hobbies. Because we have spent a great deal of our timetable towards building businesses, raising multiple children, and then our marriage, our individual hobbies would consist of things that definitely serve the greater good. So fitness and health, cooking. We do go on couples retreats. So things like that.
Lots of personal development.
A ton of yeah. So then when we go on individual stuff, it was like, well, does this serve the family or the business? And it was almost this kind of filter. It had to fall through something like that. But I would say last year and this year are feeling a little bit different. We're buying our time back, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hobbies for me look like, I am a personal development junkie. That is actually extremely enjoyable for me. And so I do exercise that through programs, certifications, books, things like that. I love fitness. That is an absolute hobby for me. So I do that multiple times a week.
It's not even a hobby, it's a must. It's a prescription.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I do that frequently. And outside of that, I think Justin and I are pretty blessed. We found a best friend in the other person. And so, there are times where we're like, should we go out and make some friends?
And we're like, no, just want to be with you.
Should we go do that? And we try it and we do it and it's enjoyable. But then we always come home and we're like, I just really love you. I just want to spend time with you.
We should talk about this for a minute because we say all the time, like, quite frankly, we have a very healthy relationship, and it is probably one of the most unhealthiest things that we could possibly do because I hate to use the C word.
Oh, which one?
Codependent.
Oh, yeah, that's
like,
dirty.
Yes. Vulgar.
Yeah.
But there are times we acknowledge it almost feels that way. Like if given the choice of like, oh, I could go out and I could go do this with my friends, and maybe it involves like, typical guy stuff. Like I'm going to go to a bar and watch a game or something like that. Or my alternative is staying at home and just engaging with you and relaxing with you and spending time with you. Every single time I'm going to pick you. Like every single time.
Yeah. I think the chapters in life that we've been in since being together have been filled with building a life. And it doesn't mean we don't socialize. We absolutely do. I believe we fall into the cliche of we absolutely love and honor the work that we get paid to do. It's enjoyable. We love who we do it with. We love the experience of it. And so that feels social a lot of the time to us. And then we have 3 kids at many different stages in life. It's not like 3 kids under 5 where they're all watching the same show and they're all eating the same food and we're just kind of hustling and bustling through life. It's, we've got a 20-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old. It's 3 different spectrums of life in a day that we get to parent to. So our lives are full. They're really, really full. And when we get to experience something after hours with friends or coworkers,
it's like we have that 10% of our battery left. Where do we want to use it?
Yeah, we have to truly choose wisely. So we deliver a lot of no's to a lot of things, not because it wouldn't be fun, just because
we would love to.
It's got to be like
if we had nothing
priority uno to go expend that 10% towards. So we're pretty, I would say we're pretty clear on that. We're pretty clear on what's worthy of spending time on and what's just not right now. And it doesn't mean we don't care about those things. It just means it's not a priority right now.
Right.
We are not boring, just so everyone's clear. Sounds like we're pretty boring, you guys.
I'm okay with boring.
I mean, I have fun in my life, but maybe to the general eye.
Gary Keller says
a
the
little boring.
key to success is mastering boredom.
Yeah.
Learning to thrive in boredom. And
well, we are very predictable. There's no doubt about it.
Oh,
you know exactly
absolutely.
where we are, when we are, and what we're doing. Okay, last question here. How did you manage raising a family while building a business? How do you feel now looking back? Is there anything you would do differently? Gosh, great question. Yes. Raising a family while building a business was by far the hardest part about what we've done.
Yeah. We've gotten better at it, but it's still just as hard. We've just gotten better.
Yeah, I would say so. We've built a business around being able to bring your children to work. That was something that was missing in the beginning part of building that we sacrificed without a doubt. And I would say there was a time in my life that I can look back at now and wholeheartedly say, there's a little regret in the sacrifice I made as a mother. So I would say, how did we manage? We did the best we could with the tools we had and the resources that we had. With the outlets that we had, like the brokerages we were a part of and the spaces that we worked in. It didn't have the opportunity to bring your children with you. That was not welcomed. That was not okay.
That's why we built Thrive, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole reason
exactly
why we built Thrive the way we did.
Exists, is that, to be in this industry, to make the money that you came here to make, to have the experience you're desiring, to hit the freedom button, you have to think about a whole person. You can't just think about the money category because people are complex. We have lives that we live outside of real estate, and we should. That was the whole purpose of getting into real estate, was to live a big, awesome life. And I think that was a missing component. It's why Thrive is a fully leveraged opportunity for an agent. So what I would say is the way we managed it was we divided and conquered. So we surged. We don't believe in balance. It doesn't exist. I had a coach that certainly taught me 6 ways to Sunday about that for about 5 years. And I'm so grateful. John Cheplek, he helped me reframe priorities in my mind. And it is a great reason as to why we were able to deliver that in our business. So our priority in life is ourselves individually. So for me, it's me, and then it is my husband, and then it is my family, and then it is Thrive.
Yep. Has to be in that order every time.
And so we managed raising our family by taking care of ourselves first. Health and wellness has always been a big part of our journey, and making sure we carve out time to do that so that we have a full battery after doing big things at work for our family as well. We also have enlisted an enormous amount of help to help raise our children. I'm a village person. I believe, the more loving, caring, aligned people in your life to help you raise your children, the better off that child will be. And we've been fortunate to have incredible family to be able to help us for a great deal of time, still to this day. When we could start to afford it, we started hiring part-time help, and then we started hiring full-time. And we learned our way through that. We hired a nanny, and then after going through that, we realized, that's not what we want to hire. That's not the actual help we want. And that's where Life Manager came into play, was realizing we don't actually want or need somebody to take the raising of our children away from us. We want the emphasis to be on managing our lives.
Yeah. All those things that take our time away from our family.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So name some of the things that we isolated to help people understand.
I mean, you think about like grocery shopping, cleaning, laundry, scheduling is a huge one.
Think about how much time you guys spend scheduling dentist appointments, doctor's appointments, hair appointments. Kids need all sorts of eye appointments. What else do we schedule?
Well, here's how we summed it up.
Getting groomed.
If I walk home or you walk home, not walk, drive. When we walk in through the door, if there is something in our world, our safe space at home, that would make us say, I need to take care of this, I need to take care of that, that is the job.
Yes. Yeah. Anything that could absolutely allow us to come home and say the only things we're focused on are cooking, breaking bread together, and simply enjoying one another.
Yep.
Everything else is the Life Manager's responsibility. Yep. So I want you guys to envision every time you come home from work, you see the laundry, you're thinking about dinner. It's the constant question in everybody's life. It's come up so many times in my Exactly What to Say certifications. People will be like, hey, the critical conversation in my freaking life is what the hell is for dinner?
Right.
It has come up all over this country. Yeah. And so that is a critical conversation. Imagine if that never came up ever again and it was all ready and done for you. Now, our Life Manager either will cook for us or prep the food, and I cook because I love to cook dinner. Right. So anything like that. And that's really what helped us raise our children and still build a big business. Is you do, there's no doubt about it. Anything you want to do in life at a really high level must be with other people. There's no way to do it alone.
Not possible. Yeah.
Yep. And how do you feel now looking back? Is there anything you'd do differently? I would have gone life manager right from the go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just understanding that small nuance in the inference of what the person is going to do in your life versus the societal norm of like, well, just hire a nanny, get a babysitter, or get someone who's just going to clean the house. We really put pen to paper after that and got extremely thoughtful, intentional around what would serve our family, our lifestyle at the highest level. And it was a life manager.
Yep.
And anything I would do differently, I would have created Thrive sooner. I think having this outlet and being in an atmosphere that respects that we're human beings, that we have lives we want to live, and work is a huge part of that, but it's not the only part. And really honoring that and enforcing the push towards like, hey, are you happy and whole in your life? Are you doing the things I know you like to do? Like, there isn't a person on our staff right now that I oversee that I don't know the one thing in their life that without that thing, everything else isn't working properly, right? I make a keen interest on understanding that about anybody that I coach, mentor, or lead. And I always check in on it. Like, how's this thing going? What's going on?
Right.
Because if I notice any off-kilterness, it is almost guaranteed that one thing took a backseat.
Yep.
So I would say making sure you're in an environment that honors and respects that you're a real person with a real life, and it helps you become the best version of you.
Love it. That's perfect.
All right, so that's a wrap. Episode 5, Thrive After Dark. Thank you so much for sending in the questions. We hope it was enjoyable for you. I enjoyed that. Did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was awesome. So please send in your questions. If you've got more, we would love, love, love to hear from you.
If there's a topic you want us to talk about, make sure to put that in the comments below. And if you want it to be anonymous, there is a link in the description, and we can't wait to see you in the next one.